Moments, colored trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing roofs, your painted red shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roll. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know the answer. Let me know when I get close. Winterland, you're my sailing ship. Guide me when you head for your trip, right?
Hey everybody, this is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today, this is the weekly live stream where we talk about whatever we want to. Last week we had a guest. This week we have a guest. Today we have Appavelis with us. Appavelis, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you? How's everyone doing today?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so last week we had so much technical difficulties with having a guest. So this week we got everything working. Apparently Ecamm Live doesn't support Skype anymore. So they've got their own thing. So that was my fault last week. Anyway, and there's a little bit of feedback. I don't know if you guys can hear it, so let me know if you guys can. This week I want to talk about a few things that were announced this week. First of all, we got the open app ads that on AdMob, which are very interesting. I haven't played around with them yet, but I want to get you guys' opinion of that. We've got Matthew says we're echoing. There is a bit of an echo, so I wasn't quite sure if you guys would hear that or not. So let me see if I could if I turn down sound effects. Does that make it any better? Let me know if you guys still get that echo. So this week I want to talk a little bit about the app. Okay, so UK Bass says there's a massive echo. We'll see if we could do that. I don't know. It might be on Appaveli. Might be on your side, picking it up a little bit. Let's see if I get. I'm using echo cancellation over here. So let's. Okay, so is that any better? I've kind of like I'll raise it up when we talk, but at the moment I've kind of. All right, so I've got you muted at the moment, Appaveli, but we'll come back to it. So this week I want to talk a little bit about the open ads. I've been doing a lot of work with Flutter. We'll talk a little bit with Appaveli about how stuff's going. So Appaveli, you were talking about your podcast that you're working on.
Yes, I'm starting a new podcast called the Appaveli podcast, just to discuss app development. Mostly, I want to focus on apps as a business. I don't think we have a lot of podcasts where it talks about, creating an app and building a business off your app idea. Because a lot of times people have app ideas and they can be really good, and they can it's a startup. It could be a startup company. The app market has matured a lot over the years. You can still release simple apps, that's great, but you can't release like a simple app and expect to make $1 million off of a simple calculator app, right? So you have to really build something that's really useful. So I kind of want to talk about it and share my experiences, because I've been developing mobile apps for going on 6 years now.
Cool. Cool. So awesome. I mean, that's one of the things, because I find that we talk here a lot about doing client work, and client work is kind of like the easy way out. It's the your guaranteed income. It doesn't matter if your app. It does matter if your app does well because you're making it for somebody else. But a lot of times it is that building it up while you're still working on your side stuff. So I think that's that sounds really cool. So let's just say hello to everybody who is. We got Mega Man is second. Leandro, hey, how's it going, Leandro? Glad you could make it. Marco Soar says, Eric, how's it going? The app MathCrack blew up on TikTok and I have more than 10,000 downloads. But with this spike, AdMob is under invalid traffic concerns, 5th day in a row with no revenue. They're getting awful. Let's see, we've got Matthew said we're echoing. Hopefully, what I'm going to try to do is turn down the volume in between questions. So Appaveli, if you're saying something and I can't hear you. Let me know. I'll just I think we're getting the echo there. So let's see. Tamil Central says surprise live. We do it every Monday now at 6 p.m. So, but yeah, surprise. Echo. Matthew Creek says not really. Let's see the guy on the right. Appaveli out of sync. Last time was lighting. This time you're out of sync. Let's see. Simple fact video says, Eric, have you ever encountered a site navigation behavior policy violation by AdMob, and how did you deal with it? Site navigation behavior policy. I haven't. Appaveli, have you?
No. But I have received a message in AdMob where ads were limited. Ad serving was limited. But I had an issue with one of my apps using AdMob, and I just removed it, and then the message was gone. So I don't know. I don't know. I kind of question AdMob. Like their algorithm seems to not be great at times, because they don't really give you, a great reason why they're going to remove ads or why ads are limited. But I had to just guess. I was like, well, maybe it's this app, I don't use it, or when I just removed it, then the message was gone. So it's just weird.
Yeah, see, I've kind of noticed that. So I was at an AdMob seminar like a few years ago, and one of the things I thought would be great if we had like an audit, like if you could just like have them do like an app audit on you, just to say, hey, because a lot of us just we don't know if we're violating it, or we don't know what's going on. Everything is just the algorithm breaking us down. And I mean, there was one thing I've registered for. There is a question and answer webinar that I noticed. I've been getting lots of emails from AdMob the last few weeks. So like for those of you guys who are asking questions each week, especially about this limitation thing, it'd be good to go on there, because I'll find the link for it to send to you guys. But look for AdMob on air webinar, because they're going to do questions and answers on that kind of stuff. So let's see. Ahmed Mohammed says, hello, Eric. How are you? I'm doing good. Ahmed, how are you? Simple fact says, hi, Eric. Have you ever received? Okay, I just read that one from the email. Have I ever received a warning email from AdMob? Hell yes. I get them all the time. I get stuff saying, I get warnings for apps that I've even unpublished from the App Store. So yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just one of those. It's one of those things. I mean, they're always coming through. Theo Taylor says, we're out in these app streets. Hell yeah. And let's see, we've got Tamil Central says Facebook ads. So we talk about alternatives. So Ahmed says, what's the best AdMob alternative? Yeah, I would say Facebook ads are probably the best ones. Matthew Creek says, I'm attempting to re-release my Robot News Anchor app. It's still in review. Cool. And Derek Dooley says, have you ever bought a trading bots or doing apps for banks because your previous job experience at investment banks? I haven't done no, I've never thought of building bots. Like I've done a lot of work for investment banks, but I've not done anything that was like where I could build a bot that does something. Like there was like floor traders that were the floor traders, that they did the trading, and I was working on systems in the back end. And I wish I could say I watched what they do and I could like anticipate what they were going to do, but they were like, it was basically I was just building the systems that they were doing. Appaveli, have you ever done any trading apps or anything like that?
No, I haven't. Not yet, at least.
All right, cool. Let's see. We've got simple fact video says, hi, Eric, have you ever been in a scenario where AdMob brought up your previously unpublished apps and said you had violated a certain policy? Yeah, I get that all the time. I mean, I get emails from AdMob every single day. And a lot of times they're referring to apps that aren't even published anymore. They're just saying, you have to do something about this app, and there's nothing you can do. I've unpublished it. And if there was a way to actually turn off those ads and just say, okay, I don't need these ads anymore, I would, but I've not been able to find a way to do that. Let's see. Tamil Century says, what do you think about loan apps? What do you mean, like as building an app for loans, or what do you think of it? What do you think about loan apps? It's a weird question, isn't it?
It's a weird question.
Loan apps? Like, yeah. I don't know. Is someone going to borrow my app? I guess we need more description, description about what a loan app is.
Cool. let's see. Ravi. Hey, Ravi, how's it going? Ravi says, "Hey, Appaveli, good to see you again." There we go. Yep. Let's see. Derek Dooley says, "Mr. Appaveli, have you made a lot of money from apps enough for a full-time income?"
Full time? No, I thought I was heading towards that when Windows Phone was starting to gain traction in 2012.
Yeah.
2012, 2013. I'll say from 2012 to 2014, I made pretty good money on Windows Phone apps, and we all know where that sale, how it synced. So,
Yep.
but no, but I still do well in the Microsoft Store, for PC and tablets. But to say full time, no, but I'm striving for it, right? I think that's what we all want to strive for. We all want to build software to be able for that to be our main source of income and passive income as well. So, but I feel like client work is, if you really want to make really good money, do client work and then invest that into your business.
Mm. And you do Xamarin?
I'm actually starting to learn Xamarin
Okay. Cool.
because I just purchased the iOS license, so I want to publish some iOS apps.
Mm. I've been struggling with iOS apps for like the last few days. Just like, well, first of all, you're in for a treat. You get to sign the packages. You get to like do your developer certificate. You get to read lots of documents. You get to spend a lot of time in Stack Overflow. You get to do. You're in for a treat.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Let's see. Ravi says, for a question for the both of you, what are your thoughts about A/B testing about store presence? So okay, I'll go first. So to me, it seems like a good idea. Like I've done it a little bit, like setting up the experiments and testing like different icons, stuff like that. But it seemed like you need to have like a lot of traffic coming through, and and by the time, from the dilemma I always have is by the time I have a lot of traffic coming through, then I'm like I don't want to touch anything because I was doing something where I was running experiments, and then I would find my downloads going down. Mainly because some of those experiments were like not as good, so it was like you have to be able to test that. But have you done much with that, Appaveli?
Not really.
No. I mean, it's one of those things like where the app gurus and the marketing people tell you like how important it is, and I totally get it's important. Like I totally like it makes sense, and I've done it a little bit with like YouTube thumbnails too, like just running an experiment, trying different stuff. But in the end, it's like. It's a lot of, if you have like one application, if you have like just a handful of apps, then it probably makes total sense to try that out. But you also need traffic, like enough traffic coming through, because by the time they find it, it's you definitely need that. So let's see. So yeah, I mean, I haven't done a lot with it personally. And by the way, hey, thanks everybody for the thumbs up and the thumbs down. Yeah, screw it. Let's see what else we got. A simple fact video says, Eric, have you tried Facebook ads and how would you compare it with AdMob kindly? In terms of revenue, I did not see a lot of, this was a few years ago where I tried Facebook. Now, tried Facebook ads and I didn't get a lot of revenue from it. Now, I've talked to other people who swear by it. They say it's like, it's fantastic revenue and they're making a lot from it, but I haven't. Appaveli, have you?
I've never implemented Facebook ads in my app. I've created Facebook ads to promote my app.
Yeah, me too.
But I wonder, do you think that Facebook ads will mature enough to be a competitive for Google AdMobs, to Google AdMobs?
I think what I think about, like Facebook should be a lot better because they know so much about you. Like talk about targeted ads. Like they should be able to give you the right targeted ads. But I guess they have that stuff with the iOS issues with the IDFA tracking and all that stuff. So maybe targeted ads, maybe like like they would have had that competitive edge before, but they might not, going forward. But one of the issues I had when I did Facebook ads also was my app was global and Facebook ads were not, and that was something every time I talked to any ad network, it was like AdMob was everywhere, except maybe even in China I would have impressions. But like with other ad networks, I wasn't. So what other ad networks have you used?
Can we integrate both?
Yeah, you can. You use like Mediation. You use Mediation networks. You have them both in there. So you use Mediation so you turn one off and have one other one coming in. Or you could just use remote config and decide what you want to do that too through through AdMob. So let's see. What do we have here? Let's see. Kevin Hawthorne. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Good evening. I'm from Florida. How's everything over in the United Kingdom? Well, I'll answer this one, Appaveli, because you're not in the United Kingdom. It was kind of cold this week. We're still in lockdown. Next Monday, we're going to have a announcement about hopefully when lockdown's going to end. There's been a lot of, it's boring. It is just boring. Like you have a conversation. It's like, well, how was your week? So, well, I watched like 5 episodes of Superstore. I watch a box set or something. I've been doing some Flutter work. But it's for me, I've just been coding a lot. The last week I've been doing a lot of code. So I've been doing a lot of Xamarin and Flutter projects, 2 different projects, and I've just been doing a lot of them myself, which has been fun. So Appaveli, what are your top languages then?
Java and C# mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Client work mostly Java because I'm working on an Android project right now. Personal Java and C# because I do Windows based, and a little bit of JavaScript, a little bit of PHP as well.
Cool. Let's see. We got Chansa Musanda says, "Good evening, guys. Chansa here from Zambia. Nice, Zambia. Cool. Biswajit's here. Hey, Biswajit, how are you? Matthew says, "Dear Appaveli, what does your highest grossing app do? What's it called?"
My basketball playbook in the Windows in the Microsoft Store. Mm-hmm. I have a couple. I think my basketball playbook, my football playbook, and then after that would be hockey playbook. Mostly my sports apps, actually.
Yeah. Cool. So do you think that the rest of us, because I've never put anything to the Microsoft Store, like the same way I haven't done anything to the Huawei Store. Do you think people are leaving money on the table by not exploring that market?
Yeah, but it also depends on the app idea that you have. So if you have an app idea that's going to scale to tablets and laptops, go for it. And it can be, the mobile app can be a companion for the desktop app. So you can have them talk to each other using Xamarin. You can use Xamarin to build a UWP app, Android and iOS all in one code base. So if you're using Xamarin, to me, it makes sense. And when you have an app, then you say, okay, how can I scale this across multiple platforms and multiple devices? So it makes sense, especially if you're doing a lot of touch drawing. So with my basketball playbook, people who use Surface devices, because I use App Center to track analytics.
Yeah.
And so a lot of users are using tablets. They're using the Surface.
Okay.
So it all depends on the idea. I think, why not? It's there.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I've done a lot of stuff in Xamarin, and I've been thinking about the UWP stuff. I think for me, like a reason a lot of the developers out there are not doing iOS is mainly because they'd have to get a Mac, and because I've gone fully down the Mac route now, is like if to do a Windows app, I would have to get like a Windows or dual boot thing, and it's just I'm so out of practice. Where I was a C# developer before, and everything I was doing in C#, but now I'm just I've lost my game. So let's see. Okay, so Derek Dooley says there is an echo on this stream. I know there is a bit of an echo. Hopefully, hopefully I'm trying to click mute every time in between talking. So, which is rude, but trying to get rid of the echo. So hopefully it's not too bad as it was in the beginning. UK Bad says since Christmas, I've seen loads of progressive web apps and convos. Have you guys noticed an uptake in general public saving bookmarks to a home screen? No more app stores. I have not. Give me an example, UK Bass, because I haven't seen that. I've not seen it anywhere. Have you, Appaveli?
No.
Okay. Cool. I mean, yeah, I don't know how I would see that. Like where would those stats be? Like, I guess the only people who would know, because it's not in the App Store, the only people who would know it would be the owners of those actual apps.
Right.
Yeah. Simple Fact Video says, "Hi Eric, can you compare Facebook ads to AdMob ads? And in terms of income, kindly share your numbers to drive the point home kindly." It's been a few years since I've used them. Let me see if I could go back to my daily revenue reports here. Let's see. Let me just, if I were to show you, like, if I go back to like 2017 was the last time I actually, if I go to my daily, I'll show my screen here in a second. Let's go to 2018. No, I don't. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I can't seem to find that spreadsheet, but I mean, it's been a few years for me. Right. So. Let's see. Ahmed Mohammed says, "Mr. Appavelli, what's your main path? Just mobile or web also? Do you worked with native apps?"
Yes, I mostly focus on mobile apps, but a little bit of web development, maybe pet projects. If I want to learn a new web framework like Angular or React, but mostly mobile, native.
Okay, Angular or React, which is better?
Which Angular? It changes so much. Angular changes so much. When I first started learning Angular was in 2016. I think it was Angular 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a break. And then I came back to it and it was like TypeScript. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like,
yeah.
But for me, Angular, I like Angular, but I haven't played around too much with React to really say React is better than Angular. But I've also heard Vue JS is pretty good too.
Yeah, so last weekend, I mean, well, no, actually, it's this weekend I've been working with Angular 8, doing a bunch of stuff with Angular 8. I'm the same. Angular 1 was simple, and then when it went to Angular 2, it was such a huge change, and then they've been each version. So it's that 1 to 2 is the big leap, and then it just gets all weird and everything. So let's go with a simple fact is I'm averaging 16 euros a day from AdMob, and I'm afraid AdMob may screw things up for me. I just don't trust them. I don't know. I think you are making money from them, so it's but I know I think that's the whole thing, is the shaky ground that you're on, right? If it was, I was always terrified of getting my AdMob removed or my apps removed, right? It was just like I lived under the fear of that, and it was mainly because of the algorithm. On the iOS side, I wasn't so worried, but on the Android side, I definitely was. Let's see. So let's see. A simple fact video says, "How are your AdMob earnings per day to help a brother feel like they're not struggling alone?" So right now, let me just show you my revenue report. My desktop. This is my 2019 one. So if I go to so I don't have anything up until in this month. So up until last week, I've $16.85. So my AdMob was like £23.39. 24.39. That guy's 25 pounds. So it was actually, I did see a bit of a climb this month. So like you see at the beginning of the year, it was 5,000. So for me, you see this climb, but it's all centered around just a couple of apps. So I mean, Appaveli, are you getting how's your AdMob doing this year?
Not that great. I need to release some new apps, but probably if I promote and market more. I actually want to discuss, like, I think as devs, do you think, this is a question for everyone, and I'm going to talk about this on my podcast one episode. Do you think we should like consider changing our monetization strategy not saying like totally get rid of ads, but really focus on in-app purchases and subscription models, because ads, you have to have a lot of users to and a lot of traffic to really generate revenue, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we have to consider changing our monetization strategy. Keeping ads, but also incorporating in-app subscription, like giving users an incentive to want to, subscribe or buy other features of your app.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think we do need. I think, it seems like ads are just getting more and more difficult. It seems like it's not just that. It's like a lot of societal problems are based on ads, because ads, because ads are the reason. Clickbait is an issue, and when everything is free and everything's run off of ads, then all of a sudden people have gone crazy, right? And because everyone goes crazy, then the law has to step in and crack down on stuff. Or Apple has the IDFA tracking from Apple. I mean, Facebook was crying about it, saying you're ruining a revenue stream of all these small businesses. But really, it's kind of creepy that it's there. I mean, but it's going to be more difficult. I mean, if you're, especially if you're moving away from ads and you're moving into like in-app purchases or subscriptions, and you're competing with people who have free applications, it's going to be more difficult, I think. But what do the rest of you guys think? Oh. Ravi says, "Hey, Appaveli, don't answer if you don't want to. Are you able to sustain from app money, or do you have other jobs? Yes, what kind? I think you said you've done client work, right?
Yeah, client work.
Yeah, cool. All right. Let's see. Marco says, Flutter or on iOS, I'm using a no metal engine that was modified, only 1.22.4 was not updated. Because I use a normal engine, it's so janky on the first open. I recommend a no metal." All right, cool. I don't even know what that is. I've been working with Flutter like for a while. What does no metal mean? Is that like a rendering engine?
I have no idea. I've never used Flutter.
Okay, so I've been using a lot of Flutter and Xamarin lately. So Xamarin's easy because it's like WPF. It's like Silverlight. It's like you're using, well, at least Xamarin Forms. So you're using the same rendering engine and everything like that. I hate using value converters. It's just one of the things I hate. And so Flutter is all code, and it seems to be a lot more fluid. But I get the red screen of death on a lot of Flutter projects, but I don't get a whole lot of crashes. Let's see. Matthew Creek says, I recently released Milk Calculator to Amazon apps. How's it doing? That's my question. Derek Dooley says, as software developers, how did you both go about learning algorithms and data structures? You go first.
A lot of books and a lot of YouTube videos. I started with data structures. Well, I was going to say design pattern. That's design patterns. I started reading the chain. What's that design patterns book?
The one about the Gang of Four.
Yeah, but it's a book. Is it Effective Design Pattern? No, I don't think that's it. But I just pretty much just looked at bubble sort algorithm and recursive algorithm, and I just practiced them and just until I had an understanding, and created small fun console or even GUI applications to understand the algorithm and why it's being used. I don't really have any books that I can think of off the top of my head that I've read about algorithms. I have a lot of programming books and computer books, but I can't just think of one about algorithms. I've tried to read Donald Knuth books, but those are a tough read.
Oh yeah. So for me, I think I've done a lot of I remember the first time I saw a recursive function. There was a woman on it. It was like my first investment bank, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with common Visual Basic stuff. So like I remember the first thing I wrote, there was no functions. It was just like one big long strip with like nothing in it, right? So I can remember the first time, like we had this hierarchy report. So it was like a hierarchy of the company. So like the managers should be able to see the people who work for them, and the person above them should be able to see them. But they were all different size teams, and like it was like kind of thing. And so I was trying to write I didn't know about recursive functions, and then I was like trying to think right away that I would just go like loop through. It was really weird. And then I saw somebody else's code, and she had written it, and I couldn't understand it. Like I kept looking at it because it was so new. I couldn't understand what it was doing, and it was just like she's calling the same function from within the function, and that was something. And of course, like if you've been around for a while, you know that recursive functions are like, I mean, you use them all the time. Like that's just the way you do stuff. Like you have a function where you so like especially if you have something where like you don't want to like lock up the main thread. You don't want to have like a loop that's just going bam, 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 bam. So you have that recursive function that goes in, calls itself, saying if I'm the last one, then then whatever, end it. If I'm not, then call my children or whatever. And then it would just go through that. So I remember that was something that just blew my mind. When it comes to data structures, I think I learned a lot of it from Access databases. So when I started to learn how a database actually looks. And one of the I think having an Access database was good because it was actually like a visual representation. You're actually drawing lines across it. Okay, this links to that, that links to this. And they had a SQL view where you could see the SQL view, which looked like vomit because there was no good code, but it was all generated. And it was just, so after a while, you just start thinking in data structures. And then you have to like change everything when you go from a SQL database to or a normalized SQL database to a NoSQL database, which is like you're thinking in different ways. You're thinking, what am I going to need for this one call, as opposed to I just link from this to this to this, and whereas you don't repeat yourself in a SQL database or a normalized SQL database, you do it a lot in a NoSQL database. But
early on, I used to create a lot of ER diagrams.
yeah,
that's how I pretty much understood data structures.
See, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just working with it. Like you think in that kind of way. Like I've worked in so many places where we'd have like management reporting, and somebody would come up with the idea of flattening the data structure, and then as soon as and then you're like, I'm always against flattening a data structure, right? There was a reason why it's normalized, right? Because as soon as you flatten a data structure, somebody wants a report you can't do, right? You want to have everything as granular as possible because you can never anticipate the type of reports and the type of data that you need to get out of it. Let's see, Marco Soa's thoughts on Firebase Cloud Functions. I've been using them. Are they really good when you use a lot? Do you have a lot of cold starts, and where's the delay between functions are used? I have had this issue this week. I mean, the last couple of weeks, I've having cold start issues. It's funny you mentioned that, Marco, because so I have stuff where, so I have this is a Xamarin application. It's calling Firebase, and what I wanted to do was call a HTTPS callable function, right? So I wanted to just say, call a cloud function from within the code. And I didn't want to do it through a REST function. I wanted to do it through HTTPS callable. And for some reason, I could get it to work in iOS, but I think I couldn't get it to work in Android. So I thought, I'll use a trigger. That's what I'll do. I'll put something into that way. I have a record of what's happened. I'll put like so let's say example is send a push notification. So I will send a push notification, say, I'll send this notification as a node. I'll put it in a sub-collection of the user, and then that way I'll just have a trigger in Cloud Functions that will just listen for that, and as soon as it sees it, it will send that user that push notification. Perfect. It was beautiful. It was a great design, except for the cold starts, right? There was that something that I'm dealing with this issue now. So at the moment, I'm going to remove that trigger because what we're having is it's an application. I don't want to go into details of the application, but something where you click a button and then something should happen. It's kind of a Internet of Things type of things. So something should happen, and we're seeing this delay, like especially if it hasn't been used for a while. So cold starts are an issue, but then I think that's more for me. I'm finding that with triggers, and I'm not sure if you're finding. Oh, Marco, what kind of issues are you having? Appaveli, have you used Firebase functions?
Not functions, no. Haven't used Firebase functions.
Cool. But yeah, I see. I think I really like using Firebase functions. That's like the whole, like this is what a lot of the stuff we're doing lately is like. I like having that serverless architecture, just being able to write that code, and for me it was also so from the Firebase functions making an HTTP call out to another API, and that's where we're seeing that. And I had to like start put all this logging in because we started, where's that latency coming from? Is it coming from the other API? Is it coming from us? And then that's why every time something happens, we had to log it to that node to find out what's going on, and it's definitely that trigger. But let's see. Ben Mohammed says we need to do money Broski Corona. It's bonkers. We need to do money Broski Corona. It's bonkers. I'm from Essex. Okay, I won't do the accent. Okay, we do. I'm from. Got some apps on the Play Store, all native though, mostly Kotlin. All got AdMob banners earning me 0. Great work, boys. Oh, thanks. I'm not sure. We need to do money Broski Corona. I'm not sure what that means. But if it's an app you want to look at, let me know. Ravi asks, Appaveli, why don't your apps have video trailers? Do you think video trailers can help with downloads?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, my Windows apps, some of my paid apps have video trailers, but Android, no. But that's a great suggestion. I do believe video trailers will help with downloads because people can discover the trailer on YouTube, right? So
yeah.
I'm not really good at video editing myself, but I know some people that can help me with it. So that's actually something I'll definitely consider, video trailers. So yeah, that's a great question and suggestion.
Cool. Let's see. Derek Dooley says, do you know anybody making over $10,000 $10,000 per month from Android apps? I don't, not personally. But I'm sure there are. How about you, Appaveli?
10,000 a month?
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to get there myself.
I'll be the first one.
No, I don't know anyone.
Oh, sorry, I missed that, right? Those apps probably make millions. We have Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, probably. Let's see. Tamil City Central says, you look like Jumanji hero. I don't know which one, me or Appaveli? Oh, Eric, bro. Oh, is that me? Oh, I look like Jumanji hero? All right, cool. What? Who's a Jumanji hero? Okay, Dwayne Johnson or Robert Williams? Probably Robert Williams. Marco says, do you know if there's a limit on how much mediation I can have on my app? What is a good monetization for web? So that's two questions. I think for mediation, it's really because you have to include the SDKs for them. I don't know if there's a limit. But you have to include the SDKs, which is going to bloat your application. So I would say like use 2 or 3. Like I would say use 2 to start with. In terms of monetization for the web, I guess it would be AdSense, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Matthew says ads are all that make money for me. This is Appaveli. Says Matthew. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, you should. I mean, try to put some in-app purchases in there. I mean, you should have them. Like, you should never just rely on ads alone. See. Tamil Center Central says, how do we do ASO for a new for a new app. Any idea? No person is installing. This could be difficult. I mean, you should have some idea of who you expect your target audience to be. Who do you expect to find it, and what are they going to be looking for, right? Is it something that you're just like, you have a nice app and you don't even know who they are? You don't know, like, is it male or female, kind of general age bracket? Once you know that, then you can start to target towards them. Like, what would they be searching for? And if you have something that's very generic, then it's going to be difficult unless you could find some way to get them to find it. So, Appaveli, have you done any stuff with ASO?
No, but you also have to consider, I guess, what industry you're targeting. If you're building an app, let's say for a wedding agency, or are you building an educational app, like look up keywords related to that industry and incorporate that into the description. I think that would help with discoverability in your app.
Yeah, I think, and there's another. You could start to look at, like, what is your app similar to? Like, if somebody likes, I don't know, Candy Crush or whatever happens to be the thing, and then yours is similar to that, then you might want to go after those people. Like, if that's your demographic, people who love this app are really going to love my app too. And then you think about how you actually get people to find it. So you have to think about, you think with ASO, you have to think about, and again, Steve P. Young, I'll be on his live stream on this coming Friday. I mean, he's like he's the ASO guy. But you think about, how are people actually going to find it? Because ASO stands for App Store Optimization. Is your listing optimized, right? So if that one person who's looking for what you have, can they find it? And if not, why not? I mean, what are they searching for? How are they getting to it? It doesn't necessarily have to be through search, although that's the free way to do it. But you could find maybe an ad someplace, or they could find like some social media posts or something like that, and they find their way to it. And then once they get there, are they compelled by the screenshots, by the icon, by the screenshots, by the description to actually make that download?
I believe look at similar apps that are similar to yours, and look at the description and see what keywords they're using, and you kind of get an idea on look at the successful apps that generates a lot of traffic, and see just look at their description and see, okay, this is what they're being very descriptive what they're offering to the user. So that might help as well.
Let's see. Emilio says, I think the best monetization method for small devs is hybrid between ads and in-app purchases. Yeah, I think so. I mean, even if you started off with ads, I mean, you should be trying to put those in-app purchases in there, right? You might as well. I mean, you have the situation. I mean, it's like you have a, you have people walking into your shop. I mean, you could sell advertising in your shop, or you could actually sell things, right? I mean, if people are willing to buy and you have them and you're right in front of them, then you might as well try to, you should have something there. And even if it is just remove ads, which is like not a very good in-app purchase, but it's still worth doing. So at least you can see how that works and everything. Let's see. Matthew said, how long should the average client app take to make? The average, it's difficult to say the average one, right? Because sometimes, okay, here's the kind of stuff that, we have apps that should take, I've had apps that should take weeks that have taken months, right? I've had apps that should have taken months but have taken years, right? It's just, I've had, it's depends on how many different moving parts there are. If it's like, if you know exactly what the client needs and you're able to deliver on it and you're the one doing the coding, then that's fewer moving parts, right? There's no more scope creep that's going to come out. So you've got too much going on. You get the client saying, like, once they see it, they might want to add a few things or change a few things or whatever, or add some stuff. And you could be like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to be an asshole and say no to everything, right? Which you could, right? You've already agreed to the thing, and you do have to do that to some degree. You can't just say yes to everything, right? And then if you have developers that you hire, then you're like, you have to argue with them too, because they might say, oh yeah, no, this week I had I wouldn't want to talk about it too much, but last week was a tough week. I brought a developer on in January, and I thought, this project should take a few weeks, right? And 5 weeks in, I didn't see enough progress. I had to take it over myself, right? Like, just there's nothing worse. There's nothing more like feeling out of control than just having like relying on somebody else to deliver something and then they let you down. So there's lots of different things that go on there, but it's like, it's not just the developers, it's not just the technical side of things, but it's that. I mean, and you should never go into a project until you know exactly what it is, what the project is. And sometimes your developers don't know what the full requirements are. I mean, they should. Your client doesn't know what the full requirements are, right? A lot of times it's like it's up to you as a middle person to say, okay, these are what you need. I think this is what we should give you, right? And then they have to agree to that, and then the developers have to agree to that too. What do you think, Appaveli?
I think you pretty much nailed it. The main thing I was gonna mention scope creep. That's the major thing from my experience.
All of us,
a client will say, "Well, we want this done in 3 months," and then either they want more features or unexpected things will happen, while you're developing. So that's kind of a tough question to answer as regards how long does the average work take for a client. It also depends on the client and what they want.
Yeah. And this it's another thing is that, there's so many things that they can throw in your way, and it's always your fault, by the way, right? If the project goes on too long, it's always your fault, right? Just get used to it, right? Just, you are the punching bag, you are the rug mat, you are the, you're whatever it is. So like they'll come to you and say at the 11th hour, I want Steve to take a look at this because he's the one who's going to be using it. I've had this happen. Bring in another decision maker. Sure, why not, right? And they come in and go, okay, I want to change this, this, and this, and this. And you can say, well, that's completely different. Because yeah, but whatever. We talked about it in a meeting once. It was mentioned in a meeting. It was ever like, and sometimes you could sometimes you have to stand your ground and say, no, that's definitely not it. And sometimes you're like, okay, yeah, we could do that. But once you say, yeah, we could do that, then they say, I don't understand why we're late. It's like, just, it's a pain.
It's a pain.
Like there's nothing easy about client work. When I talk about doing client work, you do have the guaranteed revenue, but there's so much to think about, right? And you are not the you just have to, it's not an ego thing. I know sometimes it is, but like for me it's just like, okay, I'm just going to I know how this goes. Like I've seen this movie before, and this is how it goes, and I also know when to jump in and take over a project for the most part. Sometimes I'm like, I put too much faith in the developer that they're going to deliver. So like, I'm like, I should have taken this away from them before, but I don't. I keep it on. And sometimes like with a client, they'll just like, you're waiting for feedback, or you're waiting for like, hey, I've given you that build. Where can we do it? And then 2 weeks will go by, and then they go, okay, we have this. It's really important we get this live by this weekend. It's like, we need this, 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 and this, but it's really important we get it live by this weekend because so and so and so, whatever. And it's like, dude, it really does. So let's see. What do we have here? Let's see. Faster Blaster says, is earning per install more than cost? Talking about for ads? Yeah, sometimes it can be. Actually, no. If you take it, you always have to look at it. You have to know your cost per user, your revenue per user, and then the cost per acquiring that user. If you're spending $1 to acquire a user through ads and you're making 10 cents from them, then that is a bad plan. So let's see. Nurgarithmic says, hey, Eric. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Is Fiverr's 1 day delivery realistic? It depends on what. Mohammed says, hello. If my AdMob close, can I open a new one with the same computer, or can I get it back? Look, it's difficult. I would try to appeal that because people ask me this all the time. People have tried to open up another account, and so many people do it where they just, I don't know what they're tracking IP addresses. Who knows what Google knows so much about us. You could try to fool them, right? You could move to another state, change your name, shave your head, whatever, and then open up a new account. But but try to appeal it.
Yep.
New Algorithmic says, can you take a look at my new app I released on Google and Apple? It's called Chimp Memory Game. Sure. Okay, so Chip Memory Game. I assume it's this one, right? Is it this one, New Algorithmic? I mean, if this is it, the one thing I think is missing from the icon would be chimp. I'm gonna unmute here in a minute, Appaveli, but yeah, I assume Appaveli. Sorry, no, Neuralgorithmic. If this is your app, I mean, I think it's I think you need a designer. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I know it says is your member better than a chimp, which is cool, but I would think that you would have some chip graphics in there if this is it. If this is not it, then then you're not ranking very well for your name. Let's see, that's the wrong app. It's called Chimp Memory. Look up Chimp Memory Test. Okay, Chimp Memory Test. What is a developer name? That would probably be better to. Let's see, Neuralgorithmic, because I can't see this. If you let me know the package name, it would be easier to find it. And this is one of the problems with when we look at apps is like sometimes if I can't search for it, and you can't put in the package name into the chat because it'll think it's spam or something like that. But if you tell me what the package name is and just that'll be easier. So let's see. Where were we? Let's see. Okay, we got Faster Blast says any more indie dev can make a good earning from apps. Depends on what good is. I think so. What do you think, Appaveli?
What was the question?
It was, can indie devs make a good earning from apps anymore?
Yeah.
I think they can. Yeah, I mean, it's not, you have to have a good application though. You have to have something that people were downloading.
Yeah, you have to really be dedicated and put a lot of time into it. And,
yeah, yeah. I think it's like if you were like if you were a musician and you were like, can you make it as a musician? You could say every good song has ever been every good song that's ever been written has been written. Everybody's, it's too saturated. Like there's no way I can actually do it, but it's like there's going to be something else out there, right? You could be the person who does it or you could be the person who does it, but there's no easy path to it.
Well, I don't like when people say, well, the app market is saturated. I mean, the world is saturated, if you want to say that, right? So, but there are a lot of apps that might be similar, but you have a lot of apps that haven't probably been updated since 2012, and they're just sitting in the app store.
Yeah.
So you can look at the other apps and say, well, this has been updated since 2013 or 2014, and you can look at what they have, and then you can say, okay, well, maybe I can make this, but make it better, make it more modern. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And people are always looking for something new.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Marcus says, I was having issues with my cloud functions when the user logs in. If the user has been logged in so much, it takes a couple of seconds. Most of the times it has been fairly quick. Really, on the login? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's that. I mean, hopefully when you go live, the cold starts won't happen so much. Let's see. Ahmed says, from my point of view, you must not be a professional in data structure. Just get at basics, arrays, hash tables. You are good to go. But not if you're working at a big company like Google and Amazon. I suppose that's true. I mean, when I think of data structure, so there's a lot of it that has to, there's stuff that you have to do that, in terms of the workings of the job. And there's stuff that's just academic, right? There's some things where you I know enough to actually get this thing done. There's other things where it's really clever. But a lot of that times that really clever stuff, it's important. You just don't know why that is yet. So when I was doing even this object-oriented programming, and I remember when I didn't understand why you would need to create an object for everything. I was like, why would you need to do that? Just do it, whatever. Or, why would I need to link tables? Why can't I just open the database and do a whole bunch of queries? But it's just, knowing why. I mean, a lot of that stuff is there for a reason. Or unit testing. Unit testing is something that, it's easy to say, well, it's just people trying to be fancy. It adds a lot of time to the project. But once you start doing it, you realize you have a robust piece of software there. Let's see. Harish says, nice to you guys. One question. Where do you see indie app development in the next 5 to 10 years? I think we're going to be probably in space. We'll have flying cars. What do you think, Appaveli?
5 or 10 years, maybe virtual reality, mixed reality. I think we'll be more focused on creating those kind of apps. I think mobile phones will still be around. It'll kind of be like PC, how we look at PCs now, using software for PCs, and we'll just evolve using different devices. We'll probably be writing applications for robots.
Yeah, they'll outsource those. No, I can remember 2002 when the .com, in the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody was going crazy about web. Everybody was launching their own portal. Everybody was like, oh, you need to have a .com startup, right? All these rich people. And I can remember people developers saying, oh, we missed our chance. It's gone now. It's and the web is still around, right? It's just, it's the craziness around it is gone. And I think that's what's continuing to happen now.
I think a lot of times propaganda, we look at propaganda when we see, when people talk about software development or indie dev lifestyle, when you see mainstream media outlets talk about it and we think, well, that's how it has to be. But there's a lot more to it than what you see in movies and even some content on YouTube. You just have to just really believe in your idea and believe in what you do and just work at it every day, and you'll get the results you're looking for. But a lot of that, I think, is just propaganda. People will say, well, indie dev is dead. You'll hear people talk about it, and that'll discourage people from pursuing indie development. So I think you just have to go by how you feel. If you really believe in your idea and what your vision is, you should just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, as an indie dev, what you're doing is you're making your own revenue, right? You decided you don't want to have a job. You want to go out and make your own money. You want to do this kind of stuff. Now, and the goal is, at least the minimum goal is to be able to make enough that you can survive off of that, right? So you don't have to do work for clients. You don't have to go get a job in the daytime. You can able to just do that forever. But you got to understand, you are an outlier. You are somebody who's trying to do something that other people can't. The app market is not simple. It's not easy, right? You're going out and getting a job is easy, right? That's what you're trying to do. So you have to think about how is this all going to work? Matthew Creek says, is it hard to make a mobile game? Again, it's how long is a piece of string, right? A game like the Zoo Simulator, which I've never used a Zoo Simulator, but it depends on what hard is, right? I think you need to start small. If you need to understand how game loops work, you need to understand how create the objects and what they do. You have to think about all these kind of things. I've done simple games. a lot of times really good graphics helps with those simple games, but like a simple game is a simple game. If you're gonna have something that's really, really complicated, then you're gonna have to, or even something that's multiplayer, you have to think lots of other different levels. So, but have you ever done a game, Appaveli?
Not really anything complex. Maybe a trivia game. But again, the key is just start, like you said, start small. Really understand, game, development in this paradigm. Game development is different from making a productivity app.
Mhm.
It's completely different. So you have to look at what kind of game do you want to build. Do you want to build a side-scrolling game? Do you want to build something like Call of Duty? Do you want to build Candy Crush? Like, what kind of game do you want to build?
Yeah.
And then when you design the game, also design your monetization strategy, and incorporate in-app purchases. You want to place an ad, like be intentional where you place your ads. Don't just place an ad at the top. That probably will annoy the user. So make sure the ad is not so distracting.
Yeah. So let's see. We got Robbie says, "Hi Eric, my first app was a conversion of my niche blog. Have you seen blogging as a sustained marketing effort in a niche? Because people might visit your blog and then decide to download your app." I suppose so. I mean, I think to me it seemed like I was much more likely to have somebody find my app than they would to find a blog post that I wrote. But I read. I mean, talk about saturation, right? I remember reading a bunch of articles. I still see articles like how to get rich with blogging, right? Thinking blogging still. I mean, there was the same kind of articles ages ago, and people are making money through their blogs and their videos and their stuff like that, and that's been around for a while. It's not like these things just die. They don't die. They go on and they just become like new stuff comes up, old stuff decays, right? It's transient. Everything is transient.
Just like people thought PCs will never use them again, right?
Yeah, or Macs.
And right. So look, in the pandemic, everyone's buying PCs, laptops. So it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
You just have more tools.
Yeah, I mean, there's the flavor of the month, and then there's the everything else, right? And apps were the flavor of the month, and now they're everything else, and everyone's acting as if, oh, they're dead now. Oh, they don't even exist anymore. Like, no, they're still there, right? There's still money. I mean, do yourself a favor and go to App Annie and download their annual report and find and look at that graph that says how much money is being made through apps every single year, and how much is growing and how much they project to be made in the future, right? It's not, it's still out there, right? They don't just die. You know what died? Photomats and film. Film died because technology changed, right? But this is not something that just dies. It's like, but it's just, there's nothing that's been easy, right? If you're looking for the next thing to be easy, maybe you can get there early on something, and then you'll make a lot of money on it, and then that will die, and then that will become not so easy because it will become saturated, and then you're basically competing with people who are, good at it. So.
Yeah, I want to say something. See, when people say, "Well, this is dead," that's why people probably shy away from the Windows platforms. They're thinking, "Well, who uses Windows PCs? Who uses laptops? Who uses PCs, tablets? It's all dead." Because you see a lot of news articles saying this is dead, and people really actually believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But people are downloading less apps than they were in the past, right? That's just true. Right. It's but there's lots of things that are different. Let's see. Time City says, how do you check the keyword in the description? Is it possible you send any other sites? Yeah, you could. I mean, when you look at the Google Play is a lot more like it's different than the Apple App Store. Google Play is a lot more like that algorithm. But there's tools out there. There's mobile action. There's the tool. There's Sensor Tower. There's quite a few things out there. Ravi says, hey Eric, my first app was conversion. Okay, niche blog, yeah. So I know we're getting to an hour. We're gonna have to wrap things up. I'm gonna go through these really quick here. For app, there's any keyword, any website to check the growth of what the keyword and what they're used for to grow organically. I use App Annie a lot, right? And that's a free one. I use a free version of App Annie. App 404. Hey, try looking up chip memory test if that doesn't work. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't. I wasn't able to find that. So, but we'll have a look at that again next week. I'm sorry we have to end it a bit early today. Let's see. Ahmed says my app's making 50 cents and below. It has 500 active users. Is it good rates? It depends. I mean, it depends on when we talk about the revenue. It's more how many impressions you're actually serving, and then the not just the number of impressions that you're showing, but like what region they're in and all that kind of stuff. So it really depends. Let's see. Yeah, no algorithm. I couldn't find that application, so we're gonna have to send it to me so we can have a look at it next week. Compton Mania News says my guy. Is that you?
Yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend Sean.
Sorry, I keep Sean. Sorry, I keep muting him. It's just because we have this echo feedback. But anyway, you want to say?
Yeah, shout out to Sean. Compton Mania. That's his company, entertainment company. So, yeah.
Let's see. Tom Mill City says check out multi. I'm gonna have to enter live stream, so I'll have a look at this next week. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. And Mohammed says, if my apps for kids, do you recommend? If my apps for kids, do you recommend this and learning kids, or do other category and the app to focus on? I mean, you have to think kids don't have money. That's one thing to think about. But if you're the education market, you think about that could actually work. So, but like if you're targeting toward, so like you're not targeting towards kids, you should be targeting towards parents and teachers. That's my opinion. So anyway, and Compton Mania says all love. All right. So we're gonna have to end the live stream. Thanks very much to Appavelis for joining. Thanks for everybody for joining us. Sorry we have to end it a bit early this week. I know we have trouble with the audio and everything like that. But thanks very much for joining. Thanks for the thumbs up. And Appavelis, want to say where we can find you?
Just appaveli.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Appaveli, Twitter at Appaveli, and you'll see updates on a podcast, the Appbelievable Podcast. So cool. I look forward to it.
All right. So everybody have a great week ahead. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again next week.